Hey everybody, happy Tuesday for our regular Facebook Live. I'm Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch with Lincoln-Goldfinch Law, and I'm here for our 11 o'clock English video. We've been having conversations over the last few weeks. We've had some special guests. 2 weeks ago, we had Christian Mendoza from the Austin Police Department as our special guest for Pride Month, talking about hate crimes and the intersection of LGBTQ issues and reporting crimes. And then last week we had a couple of special guests to talk about racial justice issues and the intersection of those issues with immigration. And if you miss either of those videos, I invite you to go watch them. We had some really important information shared on those videos. And we have not discussed all of the things in the realm of immigration that have been going on. I meant to do a special live video at the end of last week, and the week got away from me. So that's the theme of this week's video, is we're just going to be talking about all the different updates that have been happening in the last few weeks. And I invite you guys, as always, to put your comments and your questions here while the video is live, and I'll answer them for you. If you have something personal or private that you don't want to discuss publicly, you can always give us a call at 512-599-8500, or you can send us a private Facebook Messenger. We are offering free consultations right now, so if you wonder if now's the time to get started on an immigration application, please do just reach out. There's no issue in reaching out. I'm just putting a note about one more thing I want to talk about. So the first thing I want to cover is DACA. As many of you saw on our special video that we did the day the Supreme Court decision came out, and we were all so emotional that the Supreme Court didn't allow Trump to cancel the DACA program in the way that he had canceled it. The Supreme Court decision said, yes, the president has the authority to cancel the program, but he must follow the Administrative Procedures Act, which lays out the way in which a program like that and benefits like that could be revoked. And the procedure that the president must follow to cancel the program is something that would take longer than he has before the election. So if he doesn't get reelected, what that means is that the program cannot be revoked. The difference in opinion comes when people start talking about whether to file DACA initial applications and to file advance parole. Because as most of you know watching this video, DACA was an executive order that granted work permits to people who were brought to the United States as children. And when Trump canceled the program, there was an injunction on the cancellation while the case was going through the courts. And what has been going on in the last 2 years while the injunction was in place is that only DACA renewals were being allowed, meaning people who already had DACA before the cancellation could continue to renew their work permits, but people who hadn't applied yet were out of luck. And so there's this whole group, thousands and thousands of people who are eligible for DACA, but who didn't get their initial applications in before the cancellation. And there's lots of people who have DACA and want to be able to travel on advance parole. And this group of people is wondering, can we apply now? Well, based on the Supreme Court decision, yes, the program needs to continue as it was before the cancellation. That means advance parole, that means DACA initials. However, Trump is the president, and his DHS secretary made an announcement the weekend after the Supreme Court decision saying that they were just going to be proceeding in the way that they had been over the last 2 years during the injunction, which suggests that they'll only be allowing DACA renewals. So it's not clear. We'll know a lot more in the next couple of weeks. We've already filed one DACA initial application in our office. We're working on a few more, and several of my colleagues whom I trust are also proceeding with DACA initials, and we'll see what USCIS does with them. I think the two main probable outcomes are that USCIS will process and approve DACA initials. That's obviously what we want. The other possible outcome is that USCIS will decide we're not accepting DACA initial applications, and they will reject the application. That means you get your filing fees back if your application gets rejected. But there is also this sliver of a possibility that they will accept applications and then deny initial applications, which then opens the applicant up into the potential for being placed in deportation proceedings. I think it's a very unlikely outcome, and I'll be honest, if it were me in my case, and I were all of a sudden eligible for DACA initial, I would be filing right now, because I feel like there's this window of opportunity where the law of the land is the Supreme Court decision, and now's the time to get your application in if you qualify. And I think the most likely worst outcome is the application will be rejected, in which case anyone who's been rejected would then be eligible to be a plaintiff in a lawsuit forcing the agency to accept the application. So the way that you get yourself eligible to sue the government is if you file and you get rejected. So I think it makes sense to file, but we are also, for people who are, it's a risk reward, it's a risk aversion, it's a personal decision. So for people who are like, I don't want to be in the first wave of applications, we are accepting those clients in our firm right now and just holding your case and waiting until we can see what's happening with the first wave of applicants. So just to quickly cover DACA initial eligibility, you have to have been born after 1981 and come to the United States before June of 2007. It's important that you were here in June of 2007 and June of 2012. You have to have graduated from high school or gotten your GED, or be in high school or be studying to take your GED. So if you dropped out, it's not prohibitive. You can enroll in a GED program and still qualify. And you have to have come to the United States before your 16th birthday. There's some more complicating eligibility factors, like if you have a criminal history and where you in unlawful status on June 15th of 2012. But those are the general overall eligibility factors. And again, if you want to know if you qualify, just give us a call and we'll review your history with you and let you know what we recommend. Okay, the second thing I want to cover, which is in the news right now, is the furlough of USCIS workers. So U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service is an agency that runs traditionally on funds. The filing fees that immigrants pay for their work permits and their green cards and their citizenship cases fund the agency. Well, their funding has dropped, applications have dropped, and they're running out of funding, and they've asked Congress for more funding to continue operating. Congress has not granted that additional funding yet, and so as a result, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service has announced that they will be furloughing, which means a temporary layoff of over 70% of their workforce starting in the beginning of August. So we have this period, this July period of time for Congress to pass more funding. I certainly hope they do. And for anyone who's wanting to know, what can I do? Call your congressperson and ask them to please push for more funding for USCIS. But it is important to know that this is coming, and it's going to, if the layoffs or the furloughs happen, it's going to severely affect and impact processing times. Slow cases way, way, way down. If you think about it, 1 in 4 employees is going to remain. 3 out of 4 employees at USCIS will be gone or furloughed. So it's going to have a huge impact on processing times, and we certainly hope that the funding comes through from Congress before August 3rd, I think it is. I also want to note that USCIS filing fees are going to be going up. The regulation was already processed. The big changes are with citizenship cases are going up over $500. Adjustments of status, so green card applications are going up over $1,000, and waivers are going up significantly as well. We know the new fees, but we don't know when the new fees are going to take effect. So again, for anyone who's watching, if you've been sort of sitting on it, waiting to see if you want to file your application, it really is, the time is now to file. Some good news, some points of good news are that so far we've seen processing times speed up for cases via mail because immigration, USCIS has been focusing on processing applications and not interviews. Biometrics haven't started up yet, but people who are renewing work permits who have previously captured biometrics will be able to reuse your biometrics. So we're seeing work permit renewals come through really fast, but initial work permits, you still have to get biometrics. We're hoping that they'll reopen for those appointments in July. USCIS is still accepting scanned signatures, which has been very useful for us at our firm and providing virtual representation for our clients. That's sort of allowed us to get cases in more easily and quickly. Let's see, what else do I want to say about USCIS? They have opened up USCIS on a trickle basis for interviews. So we are seeing some interviews, some oath ceremonies. Of course, they're maintaining social distancing protocols. And in some cases, they're even doing what they're calling remote exams, but they're still requiring people to come and be in a separate room from the adjudicator and have the interview via a laptop, which seems very silly to me. It seems like if you're going to do that, why not let people stay home? But I don't run the agency. So that's the updates on USCIS. On court cases, Executive Office for Immigration Review, the non-detained cases are still put out now past July 17. I wouldn't be surprised if that got bumped again. And MPP cases for people stuck in Mexico are still pushed out and under cancellation right now. Automatic cancellation. Applicants do not need to go to the border to get their permit any longer, but detained cases are going forward. Unfortunately, thousands and thousands of people are still in immigration detention, and those cases are moving forward. You can ask for release on bond, particularly if you are vulnerable to COVID, and so we are doing detained cases at our firm right now. If you are a loved one, if it would be a loved one, because detained people can't watch these videos. If someone you know is in detention and you need help, feel free to give us a call about their case as well. So I also want to cover, I'm going to pull up a web page here to tell you guys about it. The Trump's order that everyone was talking about last week, it impacts mostly non-immigrant employment visas. Non-immigrant means temporary visas. So we talked about the order in April. April 22nd was a 60-day presidential proclamation suspending legal immigration. And what that did was suspend certain categories of green card applications abroad at the U.S. consulates for family members who are not immediate relatives of U.S. citizens. And I did a video when that came out, and I said, I don't think this is going to actually impact that many more people because the consulates are closed anyway, as they still are, and that still remains in effect. Last week, on June 22nd, there was another presidential proclamation that extended the April 22nd suspensions of some permanent immigration, and then it added restrictions for H-1B, H-2B, L visas, and J visas. And this is going to apply to people who are abroad on the date of the enactment. So again, these consulates are not opening. They're supposed to be reopening on their own schedule. It's not happening really yet. We're not seeing that many. So you know, well, it remains to be seen if these proclamations are going to remain intact after the consulates start opening. For non-essential travel, people from like Mexico and Canada who have tourist visas, they're not being allowed in for non-essential travel like tourism or shopping. There has to be an essential reason for a visit. And I think that covers all the updates. You know, sort of locally, non-immigration related. Of course, we're seeing a huge spike of COVID cases in Texas and Travis County. And, you know, the mayor of Austin, Mayor Adler, implemented a new order, stay home, work safe order, and is encouraging everyone to not congregate in groups of more than 10 people and to wear your masks. You have to wear your masks when you go in any public place, any business, and I think that's a really good move on the part of our mayor. I appreciate his leadership, and I encourage anyone who's watching this video to wear your masks when you go out. Only go out if you have to. You know, masks really shouldn't be a political issue. It's a safety issue. It's about our lives. And so this is not immigration legal advice. This is just personal advice to please do wear your masks and stay home when you can. So I didn't get any live questions today, but we'll continue monitoring the comments. And if you have any questions, if you're watching this video after I've already gone live, go ahead and put your comment in there and we'll answer it. Or you can send us a Facebook message or give us a call, like always, at 512-599-8500. Thanks so much for being here with me today. And I'll be going live in 30 minutes at 12 p.m. in Spanish to cover all the same material. Have a great day, everybody. Bye. Thank you, Anna. Thanks for being here with me.